Good evening, Dolphin fans and non-Dolphin fans, which you might call me a non-Dolphin fan the way I've been behaving. Maybe this guy here will convince me to be more positive by the end of this show. Welcome to another episode of Finns Talk, of FCSN's Finns Talk Overtime. I'm your co-host, Finn Stanza. With me is one of my favorite mentors, one of my favorite people in the world who keeps me in check, Greg. Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Better than being in an airport, eh?
It's better than being in an airport, and I've been in a lot of them lately.
And
So
also beautiful weather in Florida this week. It's really it's a nice time of the year to be in Florida, I find.
it's a little bit chilly for
Yeah.
Floridians, but it's not too bad. It was cool in Vegas when I was there this week as well. So
Yeah. But being from the Midwest, it's relative, right?
yeah,
It's all
it's not
relative.
that bad.
It's
Not
not that, exactly. It's all relative.
Yeah.
Soon. Don't complain because soon you're going to be infested with all the snowbirds. So you're going to be infested with all the crazy kids from Canada and all the cold places of the Northeast and Midwest are going to be infesting
Oh no,
Florida from coast to coast.
it's already happened. We went out after Thanksgiving, and basically you couldn't move on any roads because the tourists and the snowbirds have all arrived at the
You're
same
seeing
time.
all the Canadian license plates, all the Illinois license plates, all
Oh,
the Massachusetts, everywhere.
yeah,
New York.
New York and New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, all of them are down
You'll see
here.
Ontario. You'll see Quebec. You'll see
Oh
all
yeah,
those. You'll see them
absolutely.
all there. They all ship their cars down. They go spend 3-4 months there. So it's been an interesting week. Obviously, I had the chance to be on post game, and I actually
Yep.
went through moments of highs and lows where I freaked out Bobby and everyone on the network when I didn't talk for about 35 minutes. I got all in my feelings because I actually was having fun with it a little bit because I was being realistic about the fact that I was that person who was on the show saying I wasn't surprised by how the game on Sunday went against the Jets. And I was disappointed. No matter what, a win is a win. We live another day. I'm never going to be upset with the Dolphins win, but I'm going to be that guy now who's basically saying, you want to know what? That's no way to win a football game. So you haven't had the chance to recap what you saw during that game. I'm sure you watched it back because I don't know if you got to see it the whole thing live because I know you were moving around a little bit.
Yep.
But from your perspective, from the beginning to end, what did you see in that football game? Was what you expected? What surprised you? What were some of the positives? What were the truly negative things? Just give us a recap on how you saw that football game play out. Take your time.
For the most part, all right, it was the 2024 Miami Dolphins. They did some things well. They did some things poorly. They made a bunch of mistakes. Um, uh, you know, I've been thinking about how to phrase this team, okay, and how to. They are just not fundamentally sound. They don't come, they don't come prepared. They don't do things fundamentally correct, and it drives me nuts. But opening drive, they go down, score a touchdown. The Jets score a touchdown too, but so it's 7-7. But then it's like the offense took their foot off the gas for a little while. I mean, they had 15 points through 3 quarters against a really bad Jets team. All right, against a really bad Jets team. It just it was frustrating, but it wasn't unexpected. And the scatterbrainness of this offense, not being able to, Jonnu Smith not catching a pass the entire first 4 quarters. They had to wait till overtime to basically get him the ball. Are you serious? He's been your best player for practically the last month, and again you can't give him a ball. And part of me wants to think that Mike McDaniels is like, I am so smart that I'm going to show you I can win a game without getting our best player the last month the ball. I'm going to show you that I can do that. And it just, I don't know. This team is going to play tight games the rest of the year. This team's not going to blow anybody out. They're just not capable of it because they're not fundamentally sound and they make too many mistakes.
I love DSG. DSG, you're
Yes.
welcome anytime, buddy. I love this guy. He really had my back on Sunday. Well, I want to frame what you saw. So I know you're giving that highlights, but I really want to give you premise because I want you to explain it
Yeah.
from a really analytical coaching perspective. You talked about the first drive. It took 4 plays to go from the 30 to about the 5. Then it took 3 downs and a pass interference penalty, and then 2 more plays to get those 5 yards. Explain to me how this team continuously cannot do anything in tight space. 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 3rd and 1, red zone. Explain to me how they think using a 180-pound back and trying to figure out and these weird plays. Explain to me, as a football guy, a really intelligent, smart guy who I've learned a ton from, and I appreciate you so much for it. Explain to me how a team can go down the field that quickly, but not be able to punch it in so easily. Like, where does that come from? Is that just bad play calling? Is it they don't have the right players? Is it just not prepared at the line of scrimmage? What is it?
So you got to think of it this way, all right? The key to Miami's offense is being able to spread you out, all right, as a defense, and basically create space with formation and personnel and speed. Okay. When you get into the red zone, when you get into compact situations, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, whatever it is, 3rd and 2, okay, when you compact that space, Miami doesn't have the personnel to succeed in it. If you think about it this way, all right, and one of my early football coaches, when I was probably in high school or middle school, or somebody said this: when the quarterback hands the ball off to the running back, you have now 9 blockers on offense for 11 defenders. You put those 11 defenders in the box, you can only block 9 of them. 2 of them are going to be running free. So what he used to tell our running backs all the time, and I use this throughout my career, you got to be your own BYOB, be your own blocker. You got to take somebody up in the hole, and you basically got to move them backwards and you forward to get that yard. Achane can't do that. He is not that type of running back. All right. And the insistence of him being on the field in those short yardage situations is something that I just don't understand. I don't think a lot of people understand. Achane is a nice player, but he's not a do all be all at running back. He's not Derrick Henry. He's not Marshall Faulk. He's not Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen wasn't a big guy, but he was good in short yardage because he could find little holes in here and he'd take on a tackler. He'd fall forward. Achane's not that guy. And they keep insisting on using him in that role. Yeah. And because the defensive ends in the NFL are so fast and so good right now, them collapsing down, if your tight ends get blown up and our tight ends get blown up a lot in the run game.
Ooh, except Julian Hill.
No, even Julian Hill.
I know, but he's a decent blocker. I always
tease him. But if that's going to happen and you're going to allow those defensive ends to do that, it's a tough sledding to get yards in the middle of the field anymore.
When I say, and I've been saying it, try Wright, try Wilson. Are they not ready for that capable? Like, what are they not capable of that either? Like, what are the options? No. Try Jonnu Smith. But McDaniel says that he can't. Putting six linemen and trying to do something there, they're not prepared for that. Like, so with the personnel that we have in tight yardage, who is our only option? Because last year, Raheem Mostert, and maybe it's because he had Robert Hunt and they had Isaiah Wynn. So maybe that made it a little bit of a difference. They had Connor Williams. Maybe that's the difference. But this guy got tons of red zone touchdowns. So what is so different about it this year? Who would you try?
In my mind, it's they keep giving the ball to Achane. and it just isn't
But who would
working.
you give it to? Like, who's
I
the option? Is it Wilson?
so you got to give it to either Wilson or Wright,
Okay, and go right up the middle.
and you got to go up the middle. You running inside is about vision and seeing that first hole and hitting it as hard as you can. Chan still tries to break the big run off on every single run.
Thank you, Sackman.
All right, and you can't hesitate in short yardage. You can't be indecisive in short yardage.
No.
Okay, you have to be able to see the hole, hit the hole, and then move forward.
Yeah.
And anytime there's a little bit of a pause, anytime there's a little bit of an indecision, that means you're not going to get it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
let's talk a little bit about the offensive side of the ball, like because the Jets game overall, we'll talk about how that affects the defense a little bit. But let's talk about the offensive overall. So you have a comment there. Miami's O line is 10th best, PFF. Basically, what that tells you is that PFF is probably a really bad indicator of how an offensive line is playing, because all I saw on Sunday was Liam Eichenberg on his keister. Kendall Lamb is not a right tackle who can run outside, who can cover outside zone. Patrick Paul looked like a rookie.
Well,
and Aaron Brewer was the only positive I saw on that offensive line. But this guard play is absolutely atrocious. Like, it's absolutely atrocious. They can make a hole anywhere.
Well, all right. If you take a step back, and if you're going to run zone, okay, inside zone, outside zone, you don't necessarily have to move people off the line of scrimmage.
No.
You just got to have people move, okay? The problem with the guard play, all right, on Sunday, in my opinion, was that the tackle play was horrendous.
Oh.
Okay, all right, and because the guards are covered up in a typical four-man defensive front, okay, it gets their mistakes get highlighted. All right, they're right there for everybody to see. But they were getting no help from the tackle. Lamb is a suspect right tackle, and Paul,
he's a rookie.
He's a rookie, but even as he's a second round pick. He should be better than this right now. All right.
That also tells you the development of the offensive line. Maybe it was an aberration. Maybe we realized that we had 3 linemen on that line last year that are not there this year, and one of them they still have on the roster, but they're not using him yet, which is Wynn.
Yeah, and you know, and I also think that for some reason the Jets were focused on stopping the run. Okay, I mean Hill went off. Waddle had a good game. You know, Achane caught 6 passes from in the passing game again. You know, Miami's passing attack was fine.
Except for one thing I want to ask you about, though.
Except they didn't get it to Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
And the other thing is for some reason the offense has just completely stopped trying to go downfield. Okay,
they're terrified.
It's either short passes or intermediate passes, and I don't know if that has something to do with Hill being nicked up or whatever. But when's the last time you've seen Waddle go vertical? All right, it just doesn't happen anymore.
No.
And I would really love to have a one-on-one with McDaniel and just ask him why. Because
he'll give you some humbo jumbo. We're taking what's given to us. We're not taking any risks.
Yeah. But the thing is the last 2 games especially, I thought that there were plays to be made deep down the field. This cover 2 stuff is not. They're not playing it a whole lot.
No, they're not. There was man there. There was man.
There was man there. There were single high safeties. There were times when you had Waddle and Hill, in my opinion, singled up. They weren't getting help over the top. And I think last year that was an automatic go.
Yeah.
If Hill or Waddle didn't have help over the top on the defense, I think that was an automatic go. And I don't see that right now. Okay, I don't see that as being an option right now, and I it makes me wonder if there's something going on with Tua's arm or something like that because there's no reason for them not to be taking some of these shots.
Well,
And I even saw it was either Kurt Warner or
oh, he
Dan
was talking about
Orlovsky.
how elite he is.
Well, no, he's talking about how elite he is, but one of these guys, it might have been somebody else, but maybe Dan Orlovsky or somebody saying, you know, there are times where Miami's not taking shots when they should have been. I
Oh,
can't,
for sure.
you know,
Dan Orlovsky's saying that.
yeah, and so
They play scared. The offense is playing scared. They're playing conservative, boring football. But the
well,
problem is that, and this is what I want to ask you about, is that since Tua came back, or especially in the last 4 games, the rushing attack has gone to complete. It's gone. It was working when Tua was out. I don't know why, because it's the same roster. But for Achan to average 14 carries for 24 yards, in order to get the deep shot, you also need to establish the running game. Now, you've always said, and Brett has always said, that we're not a running team. If you run the ball all day, you're going to lose, which is fine. I agree with that. But you need to have some sort of a balanced attack. But when the running game is not working at all, there's no threat of the long ball because they know you're going to throw all the time. But explain to me what has happened to this run game that there's zero balance on the attack where we can't even get like good, like an average of like 4.5 yards a carry in a game. It's like it's completely come to the wayside. It's the same running backs running, but I don't understand what's happened to this running game. Like it fell off a cliff.
well, in my opinion, the last couple weeks, the play at the offensive tackle position has just been so subpar that if you can't block the edge at tight end and at tackle, you can't run outside zone.
No,
Okay, and if you can't run outside zone, that means you got to run inside zone. And right now, your guards are
horseshit.
getting
Mauled.
hurt. All right, it's not one of their strengths to block somebody man on man, and and especially against a team like the Jets. The Jets have some pretty good defensive tackles. So you're not going to if you can't get to the outside zone running against a team like the Jets, you're not going to run the ball very well. You have to attack that team on the perimeter. They're pretty stiff up the middle
No,
when
Mr.
it comes to
Success.
that.
That's exactly right. They're playing like they can't count on the running game at all. Tua is basically our running it is basically our running attack through short passing. Without these quick throws, we can't stay on schedule, which is 100% right. And I was going to segment with that with the fact that the check downs are there for Achan. But the other one that concerned me, and I'm sure you saw it, he almost had Achan knocked out twice. Those little those what they call those screens that they were trying to do, which should have gone to Johnu Smith. Achan almost got crushed on the few times they did it. It was it's an interesting
Oh
type of
no.
play, but he almost got killed twice on
There's such a thing as going to the well too often,
yeah.
right? And that's one of the things that look, Miami's offense is limited right now. They're limited in the types of plays they can run. And if you want to say that's because of the O line or the personnel on the field or whatever, it is what it is. They're not running a whole lot of different stuff. Okay. And you have success doing this, and teams are scouting you. They're scouting that what I call it that it breaking screen. You take somebody from outside, you break them inside, you catch it on a run. The offensive line crosses in front of them to block the outside, and then they go up the middle, right? Defenses are smart too. They get paid money. They see you have success doing this. They're going to start trying to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And a 330-pound defensive tackle hitting 100 or 200-pound running back that's exposed like that is going to get, it's going to be bad at some point. But that's also what Tua does. All right. Tua still, in my opinion, all right, is basing a lot of his throws on first reads and things like that. He's not watching how the defense is adjusting because he's getting some other people killed too. He's exposing some of his players to some big shots, especially over the middle of the field, which is where he lives.
He can't go outside the numbers to save his life.
He can, but only in certain situations. Well, he'll complete it out. He'll complete certain
Yeah, but
passes and
not like
things like
he's
that.
not getting Tyreek or Waddle down the sideline.
He is not.
He's not.
He's not. And so look, it's getting late in the year. Okay. What happens late in the year? You don't implement any new plays.
No.
There's not enough practice time, and you hardly practice at this point at anyway. You're just running a few things over and over again and things like that. All of this is on film. There's 12 weeks of film out there right now on you. And everything's broken down by formation, by personnel group. They know exactly what you're going to run. And if they're smart and they got smart defensive players, they're like, yeah, this is coming out of this formation. All right. That's what happens late in the year. That's why you need to execute better. That's why you need to game plan better. And that's why you need your top players to step up. All right. And against the Jets, the Jets are just bad. And basically because of this offense, you kept them in the game for 3 quarters. Basically you got fortunate because of a Jets mistake to tie the game at the end of the game.
Yeah, what were they doing in the fourth quarter there? They could have killed the clock.
Yeah,
What was Ulbrich doing there? They could have killed the clock.
There was poor clock management. There was poor game time decision making. All right, there was poor execution. It was just the Jets. The Jets should have won that game. All right, the Jets should have won, but they made enough dumb mistakes in the fourth quarter to give Miami a chance.
Yeah, Miami didn't deserve to win that football game.
Because Miami didn't do enough in the first 3.5 quarters to win.
No.
They did not play. They did not play well. When you're settling for 50-yard field goals, and Jason Sanders made them, hey, that's fine.
He missed the extra point though.
Well, but they got a 2-point to make up for it, so it was a wash.
Yeah, and they didn't throw the ball. They had to throw the ball.
Well, yeah, but it just I just don't. This offense, the way it's being run right now, is designed to keep games close, and that's what they do. And when you keep games close, it can go either way in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
and if it wasn't for the Jets making dumb play after dumb play, mistake after mistake, the Dolphins lose this game.
Yeah.
All right, and again, I've said it on this show, and I've said it before, right? There's an old coaching, axiom. It's more games are lost than are won.
Yeah.
Meaning that teams make enough mistakes to lose as opposed to you having to make enough plays to win.
Aren't you happy you weren't at the game? No, because my point about that game is that they had everything in front of them. A 3-8 team.
Yes.
At home, beautiful weather, a 41-year-old quarterback who has not thrown for over 300 yards in 3 years, no Brees Hall, no Sauce Gardner, and you're struggling. Like, do you wonder why? You wonder why they're struggling? We'll talk about the defense in a minute. But your offense couldn't do anything. They got the key plays, but they were not scoring points. They were not pushing you to the point where that's why they need the big play. Because if they don't get the yak and the big play, they're stuck in these short yardage situations that we always talk about. Greg, they were 0 for 9 on their first 9 third downs. 0 for 9.
No,
they could not convert.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like the Dolphins played well. I'm not trying to say the Dolphins played well. Okay?
No.
But as a defensive philosophy, okay, you don't stop every play. Okay, you're not going to stop every play, and defenses aren't designed to stop schemes. They're designed to stop players.
Yeah.
Okay, and what happens? You give Achane the ball and he doesn't get any yards. Now you're 2nd and 10 behind the sticks. Now Miami will throw a screen. Okay, what happens if the screen is dropped or something like that? Or you get 2 yards. Now it's 3rd and 8. And now you got to convert. All right. Defenses are trying to stop a series. They'll let you get 20, 30 yards, but then they're going to do something and you're going to have to convert. And because Miami isn't generating chunk yardage plays right now, big chunk yardage, 30, 40, 50-yard plays, all right, they basically have to sustain drives. And sustaining drives is one of the hardest things to do in the NFL. It just is. Because the defense is either going to make a stop, give you a negative play, you're going to commit a penalty, you're not going to be able to recover. And when you do that, you limit the possessions, and you have by limiting the possessions, you limit the amount of times you can score. And if you take those limited times that you can score and you kick field goals instead of touchdowns, all right, you limit the ability to score points and put teams away.
Yeah.
And that's the rut that Miami's in right now.
Yeah.
They really are. They don't generate enough possessions of the football, and when they have possession of the football, they don't generate enough big plays.
Yep.
And that's hurt them in scoring offense this year.
Yep. Before we talk about the Texans game and everything, let's talk about the defense. The defense, I do not know what's happened to Jalen Ramsey, but you had Jalen Ramsey back there. You had Kendall Fuller back there. You had Josh Poyer back there. You had Javon Holland back there. 4 veteran players and a guy who's supposed to be a top safety in the NFL in Holland. Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson were open all the time. The lack of communication after how many games with this crew? What the heck has happened to our secondary?
Okay, first I'm going to take a step back and say I've had concerns about the secondary all year.
I know that,
right?
but that's why I'm asking you. It's a loaded question.
I think Jalen Ramsey I think he's nicked up.
Okay.
He did not look as fluid on Sunday as what he normally does. Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, those are good players. All right, those are good players. They're going to get open, but you can't have 2 wide receivers go for 15 plus catches and 200 plus yards combined. I mean, you're not stopping anybody like that. And Poyer, all right, it's to the point where you can't have him in a deep zone.
No.
Okay, you can't have him in the deep zone. Yeah, he's too slow to cover it. And offenses are now starting to take advantage of it. And Miami's response to that is to play man, and that means that somebody opposite Ramsey has to cover somebody man. And if you put that somebody in the slot and you got Kidder Kohu covering them, you're probably losing. Yeah. And I just don't think the secondary scares me. It scared me all year. I'll tell you what, against Houston, it's not going to get any easier. It's going to get a lot rougher.
Yeah.
Nico Collins is the guy.
Yeah.
All right. And
Dell's there. Dalton Schultz is there.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you about this comment because I want to, and I understand we're averaging 28 points a game in our last 7, but like DSG just wrote, it's struggle 28 points. They're not getting them early on in the game. It is a struggle. They're tight games, which means they're being forced to score those 28 points to try to survive the game, not to dominate and win a football game. What do you say to that?
Well, all right. So the last.
What did he say? Comment. He said last year we averaged 28 points with the number 1 offense. So what's the difference? So give me a distinction. Why is the 28 points? Because they're saying we're complaining. We're not complaining. We're giving our perspective. We're not complaining. We're still proud Dolphin fans, but we're just giving a realistic perspective on how we see the game. What's the difference between what you see positively from the 28 points last year versus the 28 points we scored in our last 7?
So the big difference to me between last year and this year are the amount of possessions that the Miami offense has generated. Miami's getting less chance to score points, and you saw that against the Packers. You saw that against the Jets. You saw that against the Raiders. Okay. Now Miami ends up scoring 34 points against the Raiders, but they only had like 15 after the third quarter. Okay. They went off in the fourth quarter. Why did they go off? Because they started generating bigger plays. And something that was happening basically early in the games is now happening sometimes later. And because of that, so think of it this way. All right. Miami's offense last year was pedal to the metal, get a lead, and then back off. This year, they're struggling to get up the speed for 3 quarters. And then they have to realize, oh, crap, we need to score some points. And then it's pedal to the metal in the fourth quarter. Okay. That's the difference in how the game is structured. All right. The offense right now, after their first possession, struggles to score points. Scoring 10, 12, 15 points and a half shouldn't be good enough. All right. And when you do that, you allow the other team to stay in it and you basically keep the games close.
Yeah.
All right. The games have been close, except for the Patriot game where they came out and kind of blew the doors off. But the Patriots aren't good, and honestly, that's the way they should have beat the Jets too.
Yeah.
All right.
That
And
9-minute drive in the third quarter that the Jets pulled off on this team was absolutely unacceptable. 9 minutes.
You can make an argument that Miami's offense is playing the way they're playing to try to limit the number of possessions in the game because they don't trust their defense.
Which is supposed to be, which is top 10 still, which is insane.
All right.
Stats lie. Stats lie.
But it's just, in my mind, the best defense is an offense that is explosive and scoring points. You put the other team in a hole early. You get them to be one-dimensional, all right, early in the game, because you're up 2 or 3 scores. That's the secret of a good defense in the NFL right now, is having a good offense that puts points on the board and basically makes the other team one-dimensional. Bill Belichick talked about that all the time, all right? Sean Payton talks about that all the time. He used to do that with Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. All right, it's your philosophy on offense. Are you going to go out? You're going to create explosive plays. You're going to jump on a team early, or you're going to keep them around, and hopefully in the fourth quarter you can make a few more plays. The other team makes a few more mistakes, and then you can win. And that to me is the big difference in the offense this year. I think what Miami have, like 3 possessions in the whole first half.
Yeah.
Against the Jets.
Yeah, about that.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's insane.
It's insane to only have that few possessions.
Especially, yeah, they're trying to play. They're playing boring football, and when you have the players that you have, playing boring football is not a long-term recipe for success.
I'll say it this way: it can be a long-term recipe for success if your team is built that way, and I don't think Miami is built that way. And when Miami tries to do this against good teams, they lose because the other team is better at doing it. Yeah. And earlier in the show, I said that Miami lacks fundamentals. And I think you really see that on defense right now. All the missed tackles, all of the
explain that to me. How are they missing so many tackles?
It's
that coaching, or is that just talent.
To me, it's game preparation. Okay. If you're not installing new plays, and if you don't have to rely on timing as much as this team does, you can basically get back to the basics, blocking and tackling. All right. And now, does some of that have to do with them not being in pads during the week, and things like that this late in the year, trying to keep everybody healthy? Maybe. But I don't see other teams missing this many tackles.
No, nothing.
Okay. I don't see other teams having this much chaos, I would say, on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, this is crazy.
And it's just the preparation for the games. I just don't see it. I'm trying to put my finger on it. I'm kind of at a loss here because some of this stuff just doesn't make sense.
It sort of does, but
it sort of doesn't, but it doesn't. I mean, we didn't see it to this level the last couple of years. All right. I don't remember coming, thinking after a game, boy, they missed a lot of tackles.
no,
And
it wasn't like that.
Yeah, for the last 3 weeks, I've been thinking that
Because Baker was a tackling machine. Wilkins was a tackling machine. Jason Elliott and Brandon Jones were tackling machines.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, maybe it is the personnel and stuff like that, but there are a lot of holes on this defense right now. And
but if you look at it just from the high level perspective, you need another shutdown corner because I don't think Fuller's the answer. And then you need probably another nickel. You definitely need 2 new safeties. You definitely need basically another linebacker to support Brooks, and you basically need a nose tackle, and you definitely need another defensive tackle. You basically have to replace more than half your defense next year. And what drives me crazy is you have a top 10 defense. PFF says top 10 offensive line, and the most frustrating thing for me is the fact that Tua, as great as he has been, you look at his stats. His stats have been phenomenal. I will give him credit. You can win with Tua the way he's been playing because he has been playing efficient football. He has 15 touchdowns. He has a 75% completion percentage. He's only throwing 1 interception. But he's not playing. He's putting the ball in key places. Like when I look back and I watched it on replay, that throw to Jonnu Smith where he put it, not many quarterbacks in the NFL put it there.
No.
It was a very talented throw. The problem is that his stats are not leading to great victories. He is winning us football games, but not the way this team is built. They're winning in a very weird way. They're winning it's basically you have the ability to get somewhere in 15 minutes, or you can ignore it and get there in 45 minutes. The Dolphins are doing things to get there in 45 minutes when there is a way to get there in 15. That's what they're doing. They purposely are putting themselves in traffic versus taking the shortcuts to get there faster. That's what I'm seeing on the offense. But what it allows that to do is it allows Tua to pad his stats because he's making the more simple throw, the more high percentage plays, and by doing that, his stats look good.
You could sit back, all right, and I didn't come up with this. I don't remember where I saw it or who actually did, but you can make an argument that I'm sorry, I pulled my computer. You can make the argument that from 20 to 20, the Dolphins' offense is more efficient right now than it has been in the last, since McDaniel's been here.
Yeah.
Okay. Once they get inside the red zone, their efficiency has dropped off the cliff, in my opinion.
They're better on the 20 than they are on the 10.
They are still relying on gimmicks and a small running back this year scoring touchdowns inside the red zone. And I think it's just they don't have a go-to package,
no
red zone package. in which they feel that there's a very good chance of success.
What if they took someone like Tyler Huntley, who's very tall, and quarterback sneak him? Like someone, or get a quarterback a player who's lanky, who's tall, who literally just has to jump in the air and get the ball over the goal line. That's what a lot of teams do.
Well, and I'll go back to this. I don't know if we mentioned it.
We
on
used
show
Wilkins a couple years ago. Remember that? We used to use Wilkins to push the pile.
Right. Well,
bring in C for all I care. Push the pile.
Right. In Hill and Waddle have never been great red zone wide receivers. All right. But that's kind of why you went out and got Jonnu Smith.
Yes.
All right. Jonnu Smith opens that up. He presents a matchup issue for the defense. The other thing that Miami's big package, all right, offensive package with multiple tight ends and things like that. The multiple tight ends just aren't working. They don't block well enough.
They're not good players.
All right.
They're not talented.
Hill and Smythe and those guys, they just aren't doing anything to help the offensive line in the blocking. Jonnu Smith he's okay at blocking, but he's more effective lining him up outside and making him contend for a pass.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's because they don't want to use 6 offensive linemen or what, but they struggle in their large formations.
Yeah.
And I don't think Ingold is playing as well this year as he did last year either.
No.
I think I Am Him or somebody mentioned the monster Mostert rushes totals last year.
21 TDs.
Yeah. A lot of that had to do with Ingold being very good. I just don't see Ingold being as a big an impact player this year as he was last year.
Yeah.
And it happens.
Yeah, it happens.
And it happens. But there is nothing. Their short yardage package is just not where it needs to be, and it's frustrating.
Yeah. So now, interior line is trash. 100% to this. No Connor Williams. No full-time Isaiah Wynn, and no Austin Jackson lately, and no Robert Hunt. Of course, your offensive line is going to continue to struggle. So we know where that stands. So we're heading into another critical game, another must-win for us, but also a very much must-win for the Texans. Because even though the Texans have a winning record, they sort of have the Miami Dolphins moniker this year where they can't beat good teams. And they've lost some pretty bad games, whether you're to the Jets or the Titans. CJ Stroud is going through a rough sophomore slump this year. The defense secondary is injured. Their stars are on the edges or on that D-line between Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. They're both combining for, I think, over almost 20 sacks already this season. Laramie Tunzel is there. Their interior offensive line is trash also, but not as bad as Miami's. Nico Collins is there. Diggs is out, but Nico Collins is there with Tank Dell. But the star of that team this year has been Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is, every time he plays, is getting 100+ yards a game. The guy. So going into this game, how do we stop Joe Mixon? How does our run defense stop a guy who continues to get? He's been injured, but he's back over 100 yards a game. He's having a very successful. He's 4th in the league in rushing, and he's missed 4 games.
So what Miami's going to do is, and I don't know if it'll work, but what Miami will do is they're going to put a lot of beef on the defensive line. All right. You're going to have essentially 4 defensive tackles playing on the defensive line. It's going to be Campbell, Sealer, Hand, and maybe Ogba or something like that. All right. And you can maybe say Ogba's a defensive end or an outside guy, but that's a lot of mass on the defensive line. The problem with that defensive line is you're not going to get great pass rush out of it. All right. So you can't have Chop Robinson on the field trying to stop Joe Mixon. He's still not very good against the run. So you're going to
That's at
have
the edge to save his life.
yeah, you're going to have those 4 guys on the defensive line. Then you're going to have to rely on your 2 linebackers to make plays.
Walker and Brooks.
And hopefully the defensive line can keep the linemen from climbing to get to them. They can run around and make tackles. But if you have to drop an extra player into the box to stop the run with that lineup in there that can't rush the pass rusher or can't rush the quarterback, you're going to leave Nico and a few others out there basically one-on-one with a Dolphins DB, and I don't like that proposition.
No, I do not.
Okay, so I think this is going to be a really rough game for the defense, and I think the offense has to come into this game thinking it's going to be a shootout, and we're going to have to potentially score 40 points to win this game. And if the Miami's offensive philosophy is not to do that, is to basically control the ball and, run game and dink and dunk down the field and stuff like that, I don't see that as a way of you're going to win this game. Because I honestly not sure how the Dolphins stop this offense right now. I really don't know. I don't like Miami's run defense, and I really don't like Miami's pass defense. And I think Joe Mixon's going to go off. I really do.
So you're basically saying this defense, which needs to get off the field, won't get off the field, so it's going to be long drives by them. So we have to be quick on the trigger. But let me ask you, why is
I'm not sure it's going to be long drives. I think they're going to score quickly.
Oh, really? But let me ask you, why is it that this defense seems to struggle? And you saw this in the Jets game. It was 3rd and 15, and they got we give 10 yards, soft defense, soft zone, 10 yards, and it's 4th and 5, and every team just goes for it on us, and they convert. Why is it that Anthony Weaver does not play an aggressive style defense on 3rd and 4th down? Why is he playing the soft, pathetic zone defense?
That's the defensive philosophy in today's football. When I was playing and when I was a coach, you basically didn't play soft. You didn't allow a team on 3rd and 15 to get 10 or 12 yards. All right. You might give up a big play doing that, but the thought process now for defenses, all right, let's take a step back. Why does analytics say, in game theory, say that you should go for 4th down more in today's football than ever before? It's because there is because they understand what the defenses are doing. All right, and the defenses are allowing you to make up this yardage. If you look at the conversion rate of 3rd and long in today's football compared to what it was 20, 25 years ago, it's night and day. And a lot of that it isn't because of great offense. It's because the defense is saying, the defensive philosophy, even on like a 3rd and 5, let the receiver catch it at 4 and tackle him.
Yeah.
It becomes 4th
and we 1. Can't tackle.
Okay. It becomes 4th and 1 then. All right. Which used to be automatic punt. Now it's not an automatic punt.
Nope.
All right. Now you got to stop that again. So 3rd and 15, have them catch it 10, 12 yards, tackle them. Becomes 4th and 3, punt, field goal. Not anymore. Okay. So there's it's a defensive philosophy thing more than a personnel or player thing, in my opinion. The defensive coaches are putting you in a position to basically come up and make a tackle. Let them gain yards, but don't get them a 1st down. And now analytics and everything else is saying, okay, when you do that, we're gonna go on 4th down now. So a team in 3rd and 15 getting a 1st down, even if it takes 4 downs to do it now, the numbers are eye-popping compared to what they were 20 years ago. 3rd and 15 used to be an automatic punt. Used to be an automatic field.
Oh yeah, they'd run the ball and they'd punt. Here, the
Yeah.
Dolphins, like we're better. It doesn't make sense. We're better in short yardage than we are in long. Like we play stupid.
Well, and you see it even on the offensive philosophy, right? 3rd and 10 at the opposing team's 45. There's a good chance that's going to be a run because they want to pick up 4 or 5 yards to go for it on 4th down, knowing that they're going to go for it on 4th down. Again, that wasn't even a thought process back when I was doing this.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things.
So what do the Dolphins need to do on offense? Okay. Will the Dolphins, if the Dolphins continue to play the way they've been playing, is that a recipe for disaster against a Houston Texans team?
Yes.
Does he have to actually make some adjustments?
Yes. I'm going to put the over-under at 5. If Miami has 5 30-plus yard plays on offense, they can win this game. If they have under 5,
including Yak. You mean including Yak?
Including Yak. They need big, explosive plays. And a 20-yard play is not an explosion play. All right? Let's go 30 yards or more. They're going to need 5 of those plays at least for them to have a chance to win this. All right? You can't go into this game like they went into Green Bay on Thanksgiving. All right, you can't do it. You can't try to drive down the scoring in this game. Again,
yeah. Well, let me ask you. I know it's Green Bay, but this game reminds me a lot of the opportunity they had against the Rams, where you're playing indoors. You were there. There were no elements. The D-line was getting at the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa like crazy. But we were but it was an even playing field, and even in that dome stadium, we didn't win. The Rams didn't play well, but we could only get 23 points on this team. Like they can't play like that again. If they play like they played against the Rams, against Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, they're not going to win nothing.
Right, and the big difference between Houston and the Rams, all right. And look, I love Puka Nacua. I love, Stafford.
Man,
all right,
and Stafford at 36 is insane right now.
I love Stafford. I love Cooper Kupp. I love that offense, right?
Yeah.
But that offense isn't driven on a big play.
No.
All right, that's not who they are. That's not the type of offense that they're going to run right now. Okay. So you could kind of play this ball control conservative type of game on like a team like the LA Rams. But guess what? You throw a slant to Nico Collins and he makes you miss a tackle,
he's gone.
He's gone to the house.
Yeah.
All right. You isolate him on Poyer. Okay? Because that's the way the coverage is. There it's going to be a problem. All right. The Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp aren't running away from Jordan, Poyer. All right. They're not. They're about the same speed. Okay. Houston's got like 4 guys that are going to run away from them.
Yeah.
Okay. So to me, the big thing is which offense is going to create the most big plays. I think Houston's going to create 3-4 minimum plays. The Dolphins got to match that. You can't. The Dolphins aren't good enough to basically control the ball and march up and down the field while the other team is going to be making big plays on this defense, on Miami's defense.
The only positive I get out of this game is that Kevin Harlan's doing the game again. That's the only the only positive for us. But for me, this is down. If you know this going to NRG Stadium is actually a house of horrors. Every time we go there, we do not play well.
Oh,
we have not beaten them in the last 3 weeks. Going back to like 2006, we haven't beaten them in NRG in Houston. We can't beat them. The last time we played them, we got our butts whipped by Deshaun Watson.
So I was going to say, I got a picture of me somewhere where I actually in my Dolphin stuff had a field pass in the Houston game.
The one with Deshaun Watson beat us by like 20.
I'm going to say it was like 2011, 2010, somewhere.
We didn't win that game, I can promise you.
No, it was like the first game of the year.
Yeah.
It was
Tannehill. No, it was like 39. It was Tannehill's rookie game.
I think it was Tannehill's rookie game.
It was his first game.
The thing I remember about being on that field, all right, just as an aside, I was from me to J.J. Watt about maybe 15 feet, right? That's the biggest chiseled guy I'd ever seen in my life, all right? And I've been on professional football fields with big guys before, right? That guy was amazing. But then I got to the Dolphins sideline, and Paul Soliai, I was standing right next to him. I'm not a small person. I'm 6'2". I played at 270 pounds when I was in college, all right? Paul Soliai is the biggest individual I've ever seen in my life. That dude was a monster. Yeah. But it was so cool being on the field with them. Yeah. But
I heard every time I see Benito, Calais Campbell is no small guy. He's huge. Then you see Benito Jones, I go, oh my God, this guy. That's what shocks me. Is like we have gargantuan players on the defense on that line, and they can't stop anything.
They do not get off blocks.
No.
Sealer and Campbell are pretty good at it. I love Sealer. And Campbell at 38 doing what he's doing is just amazing to me.
Yeah.
But the other guys just aren't. They're just not that good. And if Miami goes big on the D line to stop the run, they open themselves up to pass. Now, if Miami puts in Robinson and a couple other lighter guys to rush the passer, I think Mixon has a field day.
Yeah.
All right. And
I would have loved the Joe Mixon on our team.
Yeah, I've been saying it since the offseason. Miami needs to update.
Achane is your third wide receiver. Let's just be clear. If you had your 4 wide receivers as being Achane, Smith, Hill, and Waddle, you're fine. Get a good running back. Get a guy who can go into the trenches.
Achane is a very good receiving running back.
Yeah.
He's an average running
1.7 yards a carry. I kept on saying it Sunday night. No, even with the worst offensive line in football, which we don't seem to have, 1.7 yards a carry is laughable.
Yeah,
it's laughable.
And
tush push gets more yards carry. The tush push.
So I'm interested.
So
this is going to be a good
struggling. Both teams are struggling. So what are your keys to the Miami Dolphins to potentially winning this football game? Like, what do they have to do to win this football game?
All right, I'm going to say it like this. All right. Each team is going to score 6 times. Okay? Each team's going to score 6 times. If it's 3 and 3, 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals, that team will lose. Somebody's got to go
at least 4 touchdowns.
Some teams got to score at least 4 touchdowns.
That makes a lot of sense. My answer, which is exactly, and I want to end the show with this, guys. I really appreciate everyone watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Everyone, Duke, I am him, Sackman, DSG, you're the best. I really appreciate it. Hunter, you guys are really, really great. Mr. Success, it's really a pleasure to have you guys on the show. Is the team is yet to. I do not remember the last time. You could name me the game. Maybe it was the Washington Commanders game last season. The Dolphins played from the moment the game of 60 minutes, 48 minutes. When's the last time the Dolphins played a 60-minute football game in all 3 phases? Whether the defense does something or not, but to even get a turnover or something, like, I don't care if they win by 3 and it's a shootout, but if the defense made some plays, the offense was clicking, the field goals were being made, the returns were being right, the punts were clean, that's a 60-minute game. Like even last week, if you do what the Rams did to as bad as the defense was, if you do what the Rams did to the Bills last year, and you're running and gunning, and you do something there, I at least see a 60-minute effort. But this, like, they need to find a way to put together a 60-minute package. Like, they can't just be playing for the fourth quarter.
Right. No, this is a game for Miami to win. All right, in my opinion, and you take it for what it is. This is a game where Miami has to score touchdowns. 4 out of their 5 first half possessions. All right. Just put Houston on their back foot right at the beginning. And then make Houston in the second half have to make up 17 points. Right? Be up 24-7 at halftime. Put them in a hole. If the game is close at halftime, I don't like our chances. Even if it's a high-scoring game, even if it's 24-21, all right, in the first half. All right, figure out a way to get a lead. Figure out a way to get 2 scores up and going into the second half and let the chips fall then.
Yeah.
The problem I have with that idea, though, is I think McDaniel takes the foot off the gas as well.
Oh, yes, he does.
All right, and in my mind, you got to keep the pedal down.
Yeah, he doesn't know how.
Remember,
he could have broken the record against Denver. He took the pedal off.
Well, Tua's going to have to throw 50 times in this game for them to win.
Yeah.
All right, and you're going to have to have big games out of Hill, Waddle, and Smith.
Yeah, in their famous words, if Achane, Hill, Waddle, and I'll put it this way: you say 50 times. If Hill, Waddle, Achane, and Mostert, Hill, Achane, Waddle, and Smith do not have a combined total of 35 receptions, we're going to lose this football game.
Well,
you're saying 50. Tua needs to go 35 for 50. He's not throwing to anybody else.
Tua's going to go 30 to 35 for 50, right? And 23, 24 of those receptions got to be by Hill, Waddle, and Smith.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and Achane will get his.
You need to, DSG. You need to. It has to happen now. It's an air game. It's an indoor stadium. This is going to be if you want to win this football game, it has to be not the turnovers, but it has to be the Lions versus the Texans. It has to be that game. Go watch the tape on how the Lions were running and gunning up and down that field. If you don't find a way to adopt that in a passing attack, you're not going to win this football game. Am I happy with his play calling? That's a loaded question. Do you want to be here for the next hour? Like, honestly, there's a game happening in 15 minutes between the 49ers and the Rams. Honestly, his play calling, I haven't been a fan of his play calling. I'm a fan of his shoes. And I'm a fan of the fact that he's a dedicated father, that he's a nice guy. But his play calling, no, I'm not. Because my play calling would be, Greg and Duke, if we have the ball at the 5, I don't mind if Liam Eichenberg takes a holding penalty. Get us back to the 15. Give Tua more space to get the ball in the end zone. Because honestly, we're better at the 15 and at the 20 to score a touchdown than we are at the 10 of the 5. Do you agree with that?
I'm not going to argue one way or the other on that.
It's the truth.
I see them in short yardage and I just cringe.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
All right. And one last point. If Jason Sanders kicks 3 field goals in this game,
you lose.
Dolphins are probably going to lose.
Yeah, he can't be the kicker. He can't be extra points and maybe 1 or 2 field goals. Maybe the winning field goal. That's all. I'd like them to score 1 field goal, the winning field goal. That's about it. That's the worst case scenario. Before we get out of here, because obviously it's the biggest topic of the day, what was your reaction to the guy that Tua had a 6-0 record against going to the University of North Carolina? When you saw those rumblings the last week, you see the press conference today. What was your thought on the fact that the fact that Shula's record is now going to be intact?
Yeah.
for the wins. The fact that this guy chose to go to college, to make $10 million a year, to run a program, have a GM, run it like a football team. Do you think it was because he didn't think he'd get a job in football, in NFL again, or because of a power struggle, or do you think he did it because of his father? Why do you think he went to an ACC school that hasn't been good since Lawrence Taylor? Why do you think he did it?
I just think he wanted to get back in the game, and I don't think there was an option for him to do that in the NFL. I really don't know. I don't know who signs him up to put up with his BS at his age in the NFL.
They should. The Falcons should have. The Falcons should have.
I don't know.
Kirk Cousins is a mess.
Well, you know that when you sign Kirk Cousins, all right? You know, I mean,
hey, Brett wanted Kirk Cousins in Miami.
Huh?
Brett wanted Kirk Cousins in Miami.
Look, Kirk Cousins will play great games and he'll break your heart. All right. And that's just who he is. But I just think I think Bill Belichick loves the game. I don't think he probably put feelers out and he probably didn't get any responses in the NFL. And he's like, all right, if I'm going to do this and they're going to pay me $10 million a year, I'll go to college for the next 3 or 4 years.
And I get a GM. I have NIL. I have transfer portal.
Correct.
I could bring in Josh McDaniels and Charlie Weiss and Matt Patricia, and I can basically go and win an ACC, because the ACC is nothing to sniff about, but it's not a power conference. It's not the Big Ten. It's not the SEC. He can get into the playoffs winning the ACC, and I honestly think that a lot of those North Carolina kids are not going to cross the border into South Carolina to go play at Clemson. He's going to be able to get players there. He's going to be able to recruit through Mike Lombardi, and if he has the ability to run his own program, and basically get his girlfriend into a school tuition free, that's okay. We'll see.
Look, we all love this game. He was a coach at the highest level.
He's very good. He's a great defensive.
He's very good, and you know, maybe he wants to just go back to some of his roots, and he likes college football or something like that. And he doesn't need the money.
There's way less pressure for him there.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need the money. He doesn't, he just wants to coach again, and
in college, no, because the difference is that when Saban left the Alabama, because he was tired of the NIL and all this kind of stuff, he didn't know much about it. Now, because of the way it is, Belichick's been able to focus on the college game for the last year, and he sees how things are working. He doesn't have to deal with all the nonsense, because that's why they're letting him bring in Mike Lombardi to do it. And he basically has the keys to the castle. This guy now knows that he is an attraction. When he was in New England, it was about the team. In North Carolina, it's about him. He's going to create ticket sales. He's going to create the enthusiasm for, this college game day is going to be there next year. That the fans they don't go to North Carolina. They're going to be there. You're going to be able to. There's going to be a network deal for North Carolina on somewhere every single time North Carolina plays. I don't care who they play, you're going to be able to turn on a regular channel, a cable channel, and North Carolina games are going to be on live television. Not because of the talent on the team, but because of Bill Belichick. He's going to create ice for the league, for the FBS.
No, I don't disagree. It's great for college football.
Yeah, right. I'm happy. I'm enjoying him like this. He's not a Patriot. I'm great.
And my last thought, Nick Saban's not coaching anymore because he can't do the shit that got him, all the national championships and stuff like that in today's college football that he used to do.
No,
it's pure and simple. All right, he can't manipulate players like he used to. All right, and he just didn't want to deal with it. So
yeah. So, are you going to be watching us on Sunday, or are you going to be traveling?
No, I'm going to be watching the
Okay,
game
so
on Sunday.
we'll let you save your prediction for Sunday, so
All
you
right.
don't have to spoil it now. We'll see what's happening, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate you watching. We're going to be regulars on this show. The only time we may not
Yes.
have a show, obviously, is obviously the week of Christmas when we're both traveling. I'll be away. Greg will be away, but you'll hear from us plenty on pregame, post games, whatever's happening. But
Absolutely.
honestly, don't forget to like and subscribe. We love being here, interacting with you guys. Let's hope for a Dolphins victory. I'll be back 11 a.m. on Sunday with Bobby Finstock and anyone who wants to join to support us on the Finstock Sports Network. And hopefully we'll pick up another victory so there's relevancy for the rest of the season. Because honestly, the Dolphins have the players to win football games. It's whether or not they can put together a 60-minute effort on all elements of the ball, led by our head coach, to get us to the victory that we need.
Yeah.
So thank you, Greg. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, fins up.
Fins up.